I have one large pan that I'm going to be mixing up my strawberry mixture with the sugar. I'm actually making my jam in this pan. I have this water coming to a simmer so that I can put all of my jar lids in there so they can be loosening up. And over here I have all of my jars. These are 8-ounce jars in my water that's getting prepared to boil. They're just sitting there staying hot, getting steamed, cleaned, making sure everything's good to go in there. So that's all just going to stay the way it is. That temperature is going to continue to rise, and I'm about to put my lids in there. And all of that will begin to do its thing while I am slicing up and mashing up my strawberries. I've showed you what's going on over at the stove, and right now I'm going to be slicing up my strawberries and getting them ready to mash while I'm waiting on all of that to come to the actual boil. The lids to get heated up. So I'm just slicing the tops off and then slicing them up a few times. Just cutting the top off, cutting them in half, throwing them in the bowl. It is not very hard for us to come across good strawberries where I live because we live in a town that's kind of known for its strawberries. Every year we have a strawberry festival. So it is pretty easy for us to just go out and buy reasonably priced strawberries, or actually my favorite thing to do would be to go pick them straight from the farm. So I'm just going to keep slicing these up. My finished product, I'm going to need 5 cups of crushed strawberries. So I'm starting out with 8 cups of strawberries whole, and when I crush them that will go down. But I will need exactly 5 cups of crushed strawberries. I'm going to continue to do this, and I'll get back to you. I have all of my strawberries diced up here, and I'm just going to use the handy dandy potato masher. I'm going to begin to mash these, and until they are to the consistency I would like to have in my jam. I like larger pieces of strawberry in my jam. Some people do or not. If you do not like any large pieces at all in your jam, then you could use a blender to blend these up. But I kind of like mine kind of chunky and hearty looking, so I'm just going to keep mashing and I'll show you the finished product. Strawberries crushed now, so I thought I'd just give you a quick look at what those look like. Okay, so you get the idea. Sorry. Now I have those. I'm going to add those to my pan that's over here on the stove and measure up my sugar, and we will get started. So I'm going to flip the camera around and take you along as I do all of that. This recipe calls for 7 cups of sugar. I know that sounds like a lot, but that is just part of it. That's why you only eat a tiny bit of jam at a time. So that is my last cup. So that is 7 cups of sugar. I'm going to take that over here and we'll continue. I'm going to go over what all I have laid out here right next to the stove really quick so that you can see one last time. I'm using Sure-Jell. I'm also using the recipe for strawberry jam. It is inside of this box. I need 1 package. I am going to have my little canning kit here is all washed and laid out. My jar lids. My jar lids are in here, staying hot. My jelly jars. A water bath canner. You have to have something in between to hold it, either a rack or towels in the bottom of it. I have a pan that my strawberries will be going in. 7 cups of sugar. A measuring cup. And this is my crushed strawberries. I'm going to now measure out 5 cups of strawberries, and I'm going to add those to my metal pan. Okay? And that is going to be exactly 5 cups. So I'm going to add this last little bit over there and we'll move to the next step. I have my 5 cups of crushed strawberries and I just added, this right here is 1 package of Sure-Jell. I just took it, added it on top, and then I just turned on this eye. And I'm going to stir this continually until it comes to a roaring boil. And as soon as it hits a boil, we are going to add all of our sugar. So we are going to stir this until it boils. Okay? I'm just going to keep stirring. I'm waiting for that to come up to a boil. I thought I would let you guys know when you buy your Sure-Jell, it comes with a whole list of instructions with all kinds of jam directions and apricot, blueberry, blackberry, raspberry, cherry, all sorts of yummy stuff here. And I will be using this one right down here, strawberry. You can see 8 cups of strawberries. And it is going to yield 8 cups. And then up here, so no matter what you're making here, the process will be the exact same for the cooked jam directions. So if you buy this, you'll kind of know what to expect whenever you open it. And it looks like it's starting to boil over here, but it is not a roaring boil. We need this to be a roaring boil, and then we will add all of our sugar, stir, and stir it in. Okay, I'm going to continue to wait. Waiting for this to get up to a boil, I decided to go ahead. I took my jars out of my water bath canner. I placed them over here. They're hot and they're ready, so they're ready to fill. This is about where I want it to be. Once it hits a really good hard boil, you're going to notice that the steam is kind of getting in my way here, but there is, you can kind of see around here, there is a foam that will begin to form on the top. You want to take your spoon and ladle this, kind of skim it off, just right here. We're going to skim this foam off really quick, and then we'll be on to our next step. I'm going to just scoop that off into this, okay? Okay. This is kind of hard for you guys to see, but I'm having a hard time focusing in here. So you can kind of see what that foam looks like. And, you know, I did not do this time, but you can add a teaspoon of butter to this, and it will help it foam a little bit less, but no matter what, you're going to have some foam. As soon as I get as much off of this as I can, where I'm happy with it, we're going to add our sugar, all of it at once. You cannot lessen the amount of sugar that this particular recipe calls for. You must use the exact amount, or your jelly will not set. Okay, I'm good with that. Cut this down just a little bit. You must use all 7 cups of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and add my sugar in now. Just right here. I'm going to add that all in. And it seems like a lot, and it is. I'm going to stir this. It will take it a moment for it to come to a really good boil again. Once it comes back up to a full boil, you are only going to boil this for 1 minute, exactly 1 minute. So this right here does not take long at all. Once it hits a roaring boil, count to 60 and take this off the heat immediately, okay? And then it will be ready to, oh, my sugar is not wanting to melt in here. I have to stir so it doesn't stick to the bottom.
stop stirring here for a minute and have a, let's see what it's doing. Okay, so it has not came back up to a boil yet. You want to keep stirring your sugar. It has just now started to boil. I am going to start counting exactly 1 minute. And you are going to stir continually. At 40. And in case you haven't noticed, this has really risen up in my pan, so you want to make sure that whatever saucepan you are using is a lot deeper, much deeper than what you originally start out with, because once this process starts, it will rise up in the pan considerably, and you do not want the sticky mess boiling over into your stove eyes. It would be a very sticky mess to clean up. I've already kind of splashed out some myself. Okay, that is 1 minute, and I'm going to cut this off, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off immediately. Grab a pot holder, and I will have to turn it off to move it. Okay, so I have it moved over here. I'm going to continue to stir it for a second. It is ready to immediately be ladled into my hot jars over here. So I will get started with that. I have my sauce, my strawberries, I have my jar, I have this, and I'm going to fill it up, leaving ladle it in. I will leave a 1/4 inch head space in my jar. Okay, a little bit more here. Okay, still go a little bit further. Alright, then we'll take this off. I want to double check my head space with my canning tool here. We are good to go. I want to clean up my, well, actually, I'm sorry. First, we are going to make sure there's no air bubbles by using the other side of our canning tool. And this process is basically the same as anything you're going to can. I'm going to use my rag here to kind of a clean, damp rag or paper towel, whatever you have. Clean up my edges. Okay, I'm going to get a jar lid out of my pan here. Okay, so we're going to come over here and place that on it. Alright, okay, so there's that. So we have filled it to a 1/4 inch, leaving 1/4 inch headspace. We removed our air bubbles. We wiped the rim. We have placed a lid on top. Now we are going to take our ring and we are going to add that on top. And it's hard for me to do this one-handed, but the important thing to remember with your ring is you do not want to crank down on this. You are going to just twist it until it stops, and then you'll do one more light little turn, and that is it. Do not just keep tightening down on this. You will mess up your canning process. So this one is finished. I'll move it over to the side. It's actually very hot. I'm going to move it over to the side and continue this process until all my jars are filled. Okay guys, so I have all of my jars finished and they are all inside of my pan. It is turned up on high. I want to check and make sure I have at least 1 inch of water, which I do. I actually may add a little bit more because as this boils, you will lose some of your water, obviously. And I'm just right at 1 inch right now, covering my jar lid, so I think I'm going to add just a little bit more water to this. And then once it begins boiling, we'll move to the next step. I have added some more water so that I have about 2 inches of water above my canning jar lids. And once this comes to a roaring boil, you will put your lid on top and you will set your timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the 10 minutes for my jars to be done, I have my strawberry tops. Can't waste these. I'm going to throw those out to the chickens and the little ducks back here that are waiting for it. Give them a little treat because we don't want to waste these when we could feed them to them. They love strawberries, so I'm going to turn it around so you can watch them eat them. Okay. Oh, goodness. Oh, duck, duck. Hey, duck, duck. Make sure Mrs. Duck get what they were hoping. Here you go. Here you go. It's a feeding frenzy. That was all that there is. It's all gone. It's very dramatic out here. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to go back and check and see if my jam is done yet. No. Principal. My time is up. Here's my jars. I've turned it off. And I am going to take them out and we'll see what they look like. All out. You can see them behind me here. Let's zoom in. They look great. Beautiful. They look great.